All right, so this is going to be a reading for Sagittarius. And for the Sagittarius that I'm reading for today, I'm seeing that you're sort of at a fork in the road of your life in some way. One thing is ending and another thing is beginning. And with the Seven of Cups in the overall energy, I'm seeing that there might be some decisions that you're having to make. There could be some fogginess kind of around making those decisions or what this next step is going to look like for you, or just how to process everything that you've experienced. So that's what this reading is going to be about today. But before I dive deeper into these energies, I just want to say thank you so much for being here and for receiving this reading. If you would like a personal reading, I love giving personal readings. And you can go to my website, ajstarot.com, to book a reading with me. And if this reading resonates with you, please take a moment to like and subscribe, as that helps me out a lot as a reader to connect with other people's energies. So let's take a look at the Seven of Cups and your overall energy. For the Seven of Cups, we get the High Priestess, the Two of Pentacles, the World. You are going through some type of spiritual shift, which is a theme that I've been seeing in the readings for Sagittarius for a couple of weeks now. And I see that your higher self has guided you in a certain direction with the High Priestess there, but you're kind of wondering, like, have I done everything right? Am I moving in the right direction? Kind of all of that. There's some type of spiritual cycle that's on its way to closing out, but you may not be really fully done with it yet. Your oracle cards today are letting go, celebration, and morality. So there is something here that I see you letting go of, and it could have to do with your values, or maybe you've kind of gotten more in touch with your own value set, what it is you believe in, how you feel about things, and you might be leaving behind something that didn't align with your values, and so it's actually worth celebrating over. I see you getting closer in touch with yourself and what it is you believe in, and it's cause for celebration. It's exciting, it feels good, but again, it does require letting go of whatever didn't serve you in the past, or whatever wasn't aligned with you. And that, I think, is kind of where this spiritual transformation is happening, is this question of, are you really letting go of the past? And are you kind of letting those energies that aren't working for you really slip off your back? Now, in the recent past, we have the Emperor, the Nine of Swords, the Six of Cups. So there was something very dominant in your energy in the past, possibly a connection or a relationship that still might come up for you in some ways. With that Nine of Swords, some of you might be struggling to sleep at night, or you might wake up thinking about this exchange and this relationship. Maybe something was said or given to you that has really stayed with you. And also, whatever this was, it may have felt really confining at some point with the Emperor. It may have felt like you were kind of stuck in that. But with the Hierophant and the Ten of Swords and the Queen of Wands in your current energy, I really see you shifting away from having to ask permission for whatever that was, or feeling really confined in whatever that was. And for some of you, that could have been like a boss type of figure, or an older male role model type figure, like a father, or someone who was very dogmatic in terms of doing things their way. But for others of you, I'm really just seeing it was a structure. It was something in your life that you couldn't really stray away from. So that could have been a friend group, it could have been an institution, a job, but that's coming to an end. In the center of your energy, you go from the Nine of Swords to the Ten of Swords. So in some ways, this ending might be painful, because there might have been good things involved in whatever that was. Maybe this was a friendship that you really liked at one point, something like that. And so you're kind of having to accept both the good and the bad in the situation and let this come to an end. With that Queen of Wands, I do see your confidence going up there, and then you start to come back to yourself a little bit more and ask yourself, with the Page of Cups, the Ace of Swords, and the Six of Swords here in the near future, you are asking yourself, what is it that I want, and moving kind of towards that. But again, this involves you getting more in touch with yourself, your own values, and your own spirituality there, so that you can kind of hone in on where you are going next. So pretty deep reading that we have here for you. Let's dive into the recent past and look at the Emperor. Something was holding you back, I'm hearing. The Star, the Ace of Cups, the King of Pentacles. So this was someone or something that you always kind of hoped for more with. You might have hoped that they'd be more open, more loving, more vulnerable with you. And they meant a lot to you at one point. But I kind of see with the Star here and the Ace of Cups and the King of Pentacles, you might have been a little bit more invested in their potential rather than what they were offering for you. And it's like you were always kind of like, well, one day they'll step up to the plate and kind of offer more here. But I don't know if they necessarily ever did. Let's look at the Six of Cups, the Nine of Cups, the Justice card, the Eight of Swords. There was this feeling in this connection of, is this really right for me? Am I really happy? Am I really having my emotional needs met? And I see with the Four of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck, you were holding on to something in this connection. And it's almost like with that Eight of Swords, like you didn't believe your own feelings, or you were kind of stuck in your perception of the situation and not really able to see it extremely clearly. And there was something here where maybe you were even attached to the idea that, yes, this is the right thing, or this is as good as it's going to get, when actually there was something going on that, again, felt kind of confining. There was something here that was very, very stressful. Let's take a look at that with the Nine of Swords, the Ace of Pentacles, the Lovers, the Four of Wands. Interesting. The Hanged Man, the Queen of Swords, the Three of Wands. It's like you were always waiting for commitment or like care and presence from this other energy. It's like, are we really going to do this? Are you really going to show up for me? Are you going to make yourself vulnerable? Are you going to be caring? It's like this other person always kind of like dropped the ball and you were left kind of waiting. And I think at one point you might have realized, like, I can't wait forever. Some of you might have expressed this to the other energy. Others of you, this was just something internal that you kind of realized, like, if I'm only in this for potential, I'm just going to be waiting on that potential forever, and it's kind of on me to step away from this. And ultimately, I see you doing that. You might be in the process of doing that right now, or that's something that kind of was underway already in the past, and now you're just kind of aligning with that energy. Let's take a look at the Hierophant. For the Hierophant, you get the Page of Cups, the Ten of Wands, the Six of Wands. There was something here about always wanting to appear the right way to this other energy. Or maybe you just wanted to keep up appearances in general in your life, of like not wanting to rock the boat too much, not wanting to look too weird, too abnormal. If this was like a marriage that you were in, maybe you didn't want to get divorced or leave this person because you were worried about how it would look to other people, or maybe you thought, well, I can't just leave my job because who does that? How am I going to support myself? What are people going to think? There was something here about almost being a little bit locked up in like, what do other people think of you? And it comes through as being very painful with the Three of Swords at the bottom of the deck. Because it's like there was something, again, that was authentic to you and who you are and what you wanted, that it's almost like you couldn't be expressed because you were afraid that someone else was going to be disapproving. And it may not even be a specific person that you were worried about, but it could have been just in general, how am I going to look? Like, what does this mean for who I am? And so there might have been a part of your sense of self that had to come down so that you could be recreated as like your fullest self, your truest self, the part of you that is really honest about who you are and what you're about. So that could be the spiritual shift that's kind of involved here. You could be going through a pretty big change within yourself in terms of what you believe in and how you express those beliefs. Let's take a look at the Ten of Swords, the Star, the Six of Pentacles, the Ace of Pentacles. You're showing me I've given up on believing that something else is going to be something that it's not, or that one day it's going to give me what I'm looking for. You're like, show me the here and now, show me what you got. That's what I believe in. You're not investing in potential anymore. You're saying what's real is real. You know, if it's here, it'll show up. If the energy is genuine, if it's authentic, it won't have to prove itself. I won't have to prove myself. We'll just be able to kind of exist. And so you're showing me, not only am I not waiting on the potential of that past stuff, maybe it's your own potential. Maybe you're like, I'm just accepting myself for who I am, and I'm not going to hold myself to impossible standards. But whatever this is, it brings down a worldview that you had. Hi, Ninga. I'm cat sitting, and usually the cats, one of them spends most of the day outside, and the other one kind of sits here and hangs out with me inside. And it's a really beautiful day. So the cat who usually goes outside, Minga, she just came in, said hello. So if you hear meowing, it's Minga and April. They're very cute, and they're old kitties. They're 18 years old, so they've seen a lot. But they're in really good shape, and they're very, very sweet. So I'm glad I get to spend some time with them. It's funny also because I'm about to clarify the Queen of Wands, and in the Queen of Wands picture, we have this black cat sitting at her feet. So very much aligns. Let's see, for the Queen of Wands, we have the Knight of Cups, the Seven of Cups, the Nine of Swords. As you start to bring down what it is you thought you believed in, it sort of shakes up your sense of yourself. You're like, what do I believe in, and who am I? And what is it that I want? What is it that I care for? What is it that I want to put my energy into? And there's a bit of a blockage there for you. The funny thing is, I think you know, because you're someone who has very strong convictions. It's just sort of about accessing them. And there's something here that's almost like a relief when it comes to letting go what you've been holding on to so tightly in the past, but it also frees up so much space for you with Temperance at the bottom of the deck that it could feel like almost like you're a newborn baby, or like you're just like fresh, you know, you're open, you're spacious, and you're like, what do I do now? Who am I now? What's next? And that could be causing, again, a lot of stress for you, because you could be someone who likes to know what the next step is, and you could feel like you're struggling to really land on that as a concrete decision. But I do see it coming in for you. The Page of Cups is here, so your heart space is very active. With that Knight of Cups, the Seven of Cups, there might be times where you feel more or less connected to your own heart, but I see you coming to a space of connectedness with yourself and how you feel, and letting that kind of guide you forward. Let's take a look at the Page of Cups in the near future. It's like you get an inkling of something. We have the Two of Wands, the Devil, the Eight of Wands. It's like you start to see very clearly what is unhealthy, what's toxic, and it's almost like process of elimination. You're like, well, that doesn't feel good. And sometimes knowing what doesn't feel good is just as powerful as knowing what does feel good, because if something doesn't feel good for you in a very strong way, because we're talking devil energy, so that's intense, you know, you get this sense of, oh, I need to move away from that. And it actually is something that redirects you and puts you even more on your own path, because you're like, well, I may not know what it is I want, but I know what it is I don't want. And so anything that feels toxic, that feels constraining right now, it's like you're blasting that open so you can head in the right direction. Even if you're not entirely sure what that is, at least, the wind is blowing you one way or another. Let's take a look at the Six of Swords. We have the Two of Swords, the Eight of Swords, the Tower. You're not going to know right away where you're going. It's not going to make logical sense. This is going to be something that is felt inside you on an emotional, spiritual level, energetic level, more than on a logical level. And for a while, you might feel like, I really don't know where I'm going. But it's going to become clearer to you as you start heading in the direction. So pay attention not just to what does work, but also what doesn't work, so it can kind of clue you in. And that's what awareness is really all about. It's not being at the whim of your emotional river, but really just being aware of, I feel good in this space, I don't feel good in this space. And so try to take cues from your feelings rather than just being pushed around by them. Let's get 3 cards of advice from the universe. Your 3 cards of advice are the Wheel of Fortune, the 9 of Cups, the 2 of Cups. Focus on connections that feel good. And it's interesting that this is coming up because I was just talking today at a long conversation with one of my best friends about a connection that has been very up and down for her, a friendship. And we were talking about how sometimes the connections that are best for us, are happiest, are the most stable, the most caring, they don't activate our trauma, they don't activate our fight or flight, they don't activate the adrenaline, the cortisol, the dopamine rushes. They're just steady. And so there might be connections in your life that you almost haven't paid so much attention to because you've been focused on these connections that are really kind of destabilizing. And so Spirit's asking you to focus on the positive connections in your life, even if it's just like the guy who sits on the corner of your street and you see him on your way to the grocery store or something like that. Like, if you're getting good energy from someone, pour into that connection and just see how it starts to open up doors for you. But because some of the blockages that you're having might be because you're focusing on connections that don't feel as good. So that's what I have for you, Sagittarius. I hope that this helps. I hope that this resonates, and I'll see you next time.